Hey, 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 goodness to you, Sporty King. And I say goodness because I don't know whether you're watching morning, afternoon, or evening. But isn't it great to have good in front of your salutation? And of course, I'm talking to you who are watching the video in most cases. As I wait for people who will come on and watch the message live and not in person, okay? But I always come on. I try to come on 3 to 5 minutes earlier to give people a chance to wind down from what they're doing and jump on and experience it live. You can still find ways to put stuff in the chat about your experience and comments, and especially where you're viewing in from, even if you're watching the video. So please do. Excuse me. So please do that, as well as enjoy the comments that others have put in there, and you might find some synchronicity, and some commonalities. That's really what it's all about. All of us are in the business of finding the commonalities. And sometimes we do, I believe, focus more on the commonalities of pain and negativity than we do on the commonalities of joy and positivity. And it's subconscious. I'm not saying we do it on purpose, but think about how just as easily how about a super simple example? Just as easily as I say, oh man, it's raining. And then, we know that all powerful one where someone says, thank God it's raining. The grass, we needed the rain, then the grass is getting nurtured. See, so it's just that. In fact, that I think the psychological term is the negativity bias, where our mind instantly goes to the challenge instead of the solution. So all kinds of ways you can look and research into that. But just remember that what we want to do is find more ways to look at the things that are going well for us. So what you focus on, you ferment. And that's one of the things you want to do. So let me know where you're viewing in from. We've got less than 3 minutes to go for today's message. And this is always my interactive day. So if it's your first time, come on back on a Wednesday and I talk to you. I talk to your comments in the screen, in the chat, as well as highlight them, because since I'm broadcasting on three mediums, I'm broadcasting on Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube simultaneously. So once you make a comment, if you're on one of the other mediums, the other people won't see it. But once you do make a comment, I can highlight it. And then the same way you see where it says goodness, morning, noon, and night, I would highlight it and that would come up on the screen so people would know that a comment was made from Facebook. So people on LinkedIn and YouTube would see that comment. So hey, just little tidbits about technology. We always need to learn a little more, as well as get some confirmation on what we do know. We've got less than 2 minutes to go for today's message. So let me know where you view it in from. And I'll be happy to give you that shout out, as well as store up what we're going to be talking about. Because a lot of times people end up making comments that I crack up laughing, because it's like, yeah, that's in today's message. The synchronicity. Again, we have so much more in common than we focus on or even give ourselves credit for sometimes. Wow. Yeah, sometimes we give ourselves negative credit. It's like the people, I always say, beware of what is it called? Self-deprecating humor. Sometimes we use that in an attempt to be humble, but sometimes we get so focused on the, oh well, I don't have what it takes, and that what we actually are doing is taken away from what God has gifted us to do. That we may have been the person who was assigned to do that thing. So don't get so focused on self-deprecating humor and what you can't do, and how surprised you are that you're wonderful, that you lose track of how wonderful God is and how he has made you the person that's going to get that thing done for him. So we've got less than a minute to go for today's message. And welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey, what's up, Roger Carroll, my sister here in Charlotte, and who we met when we were in Chicago. So those are Roger Carroll is always one of my best examples, because she posted and I clicked like this on her name on Facebook. And a good friend of both of ours, Celia Moat, was in Chicago, and she was on LinkedIn at the time. And so once I clicked on this, now her and Roger Carroll were able to reconnect because they saw that. So that's why I do these reconnections. Daphne may end up getting reconnected to somebody on another medium. So what's going on? My two favorite sisters here. Okay, Daphne is coming in. She's still in Chicago, and it's 1:00, and it's time for us to get this message rolling. So welcome, 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 welcome to Glue Wednesday. I call it Glue Wednesday because so many times we hear people say, call Wednesday hump day. And I say, I like to put a little, reframing. I put a little different positive twist to Wednesday. And the reason they call it hump day, because I say old school rules. Back in the day, we didn't have the term flex time. We always said that people work Monday to Friday or the weekend, even though we knew that that wasn't true because there's always been public transportation, hotels. Ah, look at that. Daphne and Roger Carroll and Cecilia and her reconnected there. God, you know what? So did Roger Carroll and Cecilia. All right. See, so anyway, that's where the term hump day came from, with Wednesday being the hump day in the middle of Monday to Friday. But the truth is, Wednesday has always been the middle of what I call a traditional 7-day week. See, we didn't have that term flex time, where somebody might actually work Thursday to Monday. Okay. But Wednesday has always been the middle of a traditional 7-day week, regardless of when you work. So it's the day that kept the week beginning and the weekend together. And that's why I called it the glue. And as I looked at myself calling it the glue, I saw myself in my favorite pose, and that is a prayerful pose. And that's why I said the glue is GLUE. God's love undoes everything. Not that God's love will tear things apart, but that which has been torn apart, it will bring it back together, because that's what we want to find ways to do. And that's always about how your faith is going to do. So I always have what I call a guiding scripture. And my guiding scripture today is from Genesis 2:15. It says, the Lord placed the man in the Garden of Eden to tend and do what? Care for it. And that's why my message today is care. See, God instilled a sense of caring for his creation in the first person on earth. The Lord placed the man in the Garden of Eden to tend and care for it. Caring began in Eden and has been an essential part of humanity ever since. Caring spirit comes from the heart of God. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my affirmation on care from my book, Affirmations, and go through with our discussion of why I created them. Now, affirmations are acronyms that go beyond adding a word to each letter, because that's what an acronym does. It just adds a word to each letter. But I call them affirmations because once I add the word to the letter, they define a memorable way of strengthening the word. So with care, I won't just be talking about what care, courteous and around, recognize everybody, something like that. I'll actually make care come to life. For instance, care can always recycle emotions. See, when you care about someone, it's not always what you said, but recognize that no emotion is wrong. So you can recycle your emotions. You're going to feel differently. So I've got, I forgot to count. I think I got about at least 10 affirmations for care. And as I just go down them, we'll discuss them. You can put comments in the chat and we'll talk about how you feel about that. And so I'm just telling you why I came up with that affirmation, because that's what happens. A lot of times in conversation, I'm talking to somebody and they'll say something and I'll make one and then I use it. But yeah, so you can always recycle your emotions, yet you cannot. Oh, I'm sorry. I misread what I was saying. You can always recycle your emotions, yet you cannot always recycle what you said. Okay. So no emotion is wrong. It's how we act upon them that can be dangerous or rewarding. So once you allow yourself to be emotional, you may say something out of emotions and then you can't take those words back. So that's why it's important to try to find ways to control. Ooh, now I'm going to have to come up with a new affirmation for care using the word control. Control something. Control and reward everybody. I'll figure that one out. But that's what I saw as care. So if you're grieving or brokenhearted over a relationship, know that you can love again. You can recycle your emotion, and don't penalize the next person with mistrust. Just because someone broke your heart, for instance, don't penalize your next emotion by holding your heart back. See, that's why you can always recycle your emotion. Yeah, I got brokenhearted, but I can get over that to allow the next person to come in. And then also, don't let anger sit unabated. You have to challenge anger. So that's why another care would be cancel anger to recoup your effervescence. See, don't let anger keep the headline. This anger can come in when we're hurt, but don't let it keep the headline. Cancel that and get that effervescence personality back to who you are. See, sometimes what we do is if we've been brokenhearted, and again, I'm going to be using a relationship, not grieving in this instance, but in a relationship where you broke up with a partner and had your heart broken, and then we tamp down a little bit on who we are, and so actually now we can't attract the right person because we're no longer as effervescent as we used to be. We take a part of our relationship and send it away with that other person. Don't do that. That other person may be gone, but you have to retain who you are. That's how you're going to attract the right, whatever that person is, the right person, because it's just like the joke where someone says, but the joke that guys used to always use, I may not be Mr. Right, but I'm good for being Mr. Right now. That's a joke, but it's also a truism, because a lot of times a person is right for you in the moment for what you need. And then you build upon that moment, because now I need this person another day and another week and another month. And this is the person who I need in my life. So you're always going to meet a Mr. or Mrs. right now that makes a difference depending on what you need. So cancel their anger and recoup your effervescence. Keep being who you are, and that's going to attract the right people to you. And that doesn't have to be, by the way, a mate or a romantic relationship. That's the relationships we see here where Daphne said, Roger, Cecilia and I reconnected here, where Cecilia, Roger, Carol, and Daphne met here. You know, these are relationships that in this case may have gone through me. So therefore, if I don't have the right relationships, you might not want to connect with those people, and vice versa. And it goes on and on. And again, put your thoughts in there as we go along with these, because I'm just thinking about why I made this affirmation. And sometimes I actually don't remember, but as I read them, I say, oh yeah, that's where I got that one from. And it's good to see that, you know, that's how it sparks. But does that really talk about care? Yeah, when you care about someone, you'll cancel that anger of someone else's relationship and bring it back to yours. And what will that give you a chance to do? That'll give you a chance to care, to cultivate and respect emotions. And what word did I leave out of there? I left out your, because that's really what it would be. Cultivate and respect your emotions. Again, understand that you're going to be wrong. You're going to get angry still. You're still going to get angry. No relationship is perfect. You're still going to get angry, but respect that your, as well as the other person's, right to be angry, to be your emotions, to be scared, to be upset, to be excited, to be effervescent. Whatever your emotion is, no emotion is wrong. They're in the moment. Even emotion is M-O is in there. It's in the moment. So that's what you want to recognize and respect that. Get better at controlling your emotions so that you don't allow anger to keep the headline. So that this is why I say, cancel that anger and recoup your effervescence. Anger's going to come. But once you cultivate what you cultivate, and is what it's just like what you focus on, you ferment. So if you cultivate your control over your emotions and you respect your right to get angry, you can get angry and then put anger where it belongs. My sister coming in from Chicago, Zelda. Shalom. Yes, shalom, Sporty Man. Shalom, Zelda sister. Z woman. That's right. She called me a Sporty Man. I used to always call her Z woman. But thanks for sharing your perspective. Desperately needed. We love and appreciate your wisdom. Thank you. Yes. Amen. Thank you. And then that's where some of the affirmations come from. Okay. You know, even as I look at I was looking at desperately needed, and I was thinking about how, you say you DM somebody, direct message, but I like that DM desperately. Sometimes you need to dare to mute yourself. DM. You need to DM. Dare to mute yourself because you don't need to be heard. Some things, you don't need to have an opinion of everything that went on. Sometimes you have to, a way of cultivating and respecting emotions and keeping the anger from being the headline is just shut your mouth. Listening is the number one communication skill. Okay, so and here we go. Boom, emotions are controlling our health. Yeah. And we don't learn this in the educational system. We need you. And even though Zelda sent that to me, it's everyone. We need you to get your own understanding of your emotions because no one else, well, no one can read your mind. They don't know what's going in your emotional state. By the way, this is Mental Health Month, but isn't it every single month, mental health awareness? Isn't it every day you want to be aware of your mental health? By the way, that's one of the wonderful things that Zelda does. Is she helps feed she doesn't call it homeless. Tell me what it is, Zelda. But she feeds she'll put it in the chat because it's wonderful. I love how she's reframed it. And that's what I was saying earlier. You have to reframe things, and just how you look at it from your perspective makes a difference. And by the way, every now and then I like to remind people to do something. There she goes, the unhoused. See, not homeless, but unhoused. Now, unhoused takes into a whole a big umbrella because it's not having a place to stay, but also look at this. It's not having something over your head, namely, it's not having God in the right place. Sometimes I'm not putting this on the people, but I'm saying, see, you could be unhoused because your spirit is not in the right place. You could be unhoused because you don't have the right people surrounding you. Because you could be in a place where you are protected from the elements, but you're uncomfortable. So it is against about reaching out, really understanding what's going on. And Zelda, would you put your link in there to your place, to your site, and the higher learning network? See, I know the stuff, but I love it. So would you put that in there? Because as related to this topic, that's a great additional one that you want to take yourself to, ladies and gentlemen. And then Daphne says, I also reconnected with a friend of mine today after a 6-month break in communication. Every glue, there's something to connect to. Thank you so much, Daphne. Yeah, and that, what can happen sometimes? What are you giving credit for what you're doing already? And that funny thing, fast forward, spoiler alert, when this is all done, Daphne, it comes back to what you're just saying here right now about how we have to find ways to reconnect, and then we use them. So there's the Homeless Project, which is on Instagram.com, the HLN, the Higher Learning Network. And so, go check that out and see what Zelda's doing. And, you may or may not find ways to donate and participate, but guess what? Sometimes it's a matter of cultivating and respecting emotions. It's a matter of changing your viewpoint of what's going on. And then you might find how you might be better able to help. And then that becomes a blessing as well. And there she goes also, the higherlearningnetwork.org. Yes, because it's a 501c3. So thank you, Zelda. And everybody, I'm not one that's going to say, hey, everybody put your stuff in there. That's not what I do. I like to look at the topic. Sometimes I'm just moved to say, hey, you know what? Based on what I'm talking about, I like this addition to make the message stronger, because it really goes back to even what Zelda said. The educational system doesn't teach us how to deal with our emotions. And so this is, so I thank her that she says, we need you. We need, I'm teaching people about emotions, but this is one of the things that one of the resources you can have, and you can find ways to learn about your emotions more. And as you learn more about your emotions, you learn more about yourself. And as you learn about yourself, you learn about the empathy and how you take care of people. And you can now therefore believe that empathy is going to be one of those E's. But let's remember to cultivate and respect emotions, both your emotions and someone else's right to have the most emotions that they consider too. The sky is our ceiling, the trees are our walls, and the grass is our floor. Unhoused, but not homeless. And I like that, because the sky is our ceiling, but it's also, so many people say, the sky is the limit if you don't want to go any higher. There are no limits. There are boundaries and guidelines. So the sky is the guideline. It's our ceiling because it's something we can see and give God thanks for. Boom, spoiler alert, that's coming in the end. The trees are our walls. Didn't I just say who you surround yourself with? Who are your trees? Who are your rocks? You ever call somebody, yeah, that's my rock. Well, that's the same as those are my trees. There's a story about the blind person that when he was gifted with his sight, one of the first things he said was, everybody looks like trees. Ooh. And then the grass is our floor. What foundation are you standing upon in terms of your belief and cultivating and respecting your emotions? See how it all comes together? It's relaxing and allowing. This is what I mean about the affirmations. They allow you to be confident enough to see the connection and make the words in your vocabulary work for you. So thank you for that, Zelda. All right. So the next thing in care, and that is to create and didn't I say empathy was coming? Create and reward your empathy. Honesty is the greatest creator of empathy. Recognize that you're not alone, yet you can't get the help that you don't ask for. When you lie, you choke out trust and you become the person who cried wolf. Does anybody know that story about the little boy who cried wolf? Was it a little boy? Where the farmer or whatever told him, you know what, hey, if the wolf comes, just let me know and I'll come and I'll kill it. And so the little boy kept, and it could have been a girl now I'm thinking about it, but either way, they kept crying, saying wolf. And then when the farmer came with his axe, there was no wolf. So finally, they were just playing around, abusing a protection. Then when the wolf finally came and they screamed wolf, the farmer said, they just kidding again. And then boom, he didn't go and save the day. So that becomes the key as well, is create and reward empathy. When someone feels for you, don't slap their feelings for you, reward them. And so, quickly, yeah, Roger Carroll said, yes, it was a little boy who cried wolf. But what Roger Carroll also said, too many people are reluctant to tell you how they feel, both because they don't want to recognize themselves, their own feelings, and because they fear others' reactions. Yes, and that is so important because you really can't care. Like I've said to somebody, well, I don't care. And they say, well, what are you saying? And I said, yeah, because you have to understand, you can't care about how someone else feels about you. Now, there's a whole nother bunch of ways to say it to sound more positive. But remember I said earlier how we get focused on the negativity instead of positivity? I'm happy to say I don't care. And I see that as positive because I don't care how you feel about me. I don't. There's nothing I can do about that. If I'm doing what God has sent me to do, I'm delivering the right message. Well, therefore, since you don't like it, I can't care about that because I can't change the message and water down what God has sent me to deliver. It's just like PC, politically correct. And that's where some people lose their feeling for the people. A lot of politicians start out wanting to be helpful, but then when they get in that arena, they find that they have to compromise. Oh, there's another C. And sometimes they trade off on us. They've already got the whole industry legitimized called lobbying. That's what lobbyists do. They use us, use society, not in a bad way, but sometimes it doesn't come out good. It's like, okay, I'll give up this to get that. That's what they say. They create a whole industry over it, but that's what lobbying does. It's for the higher good. It's supposed to be. Hey, we're gonna let 10 people die so that 100 can live. Again, not the greatest analogy, but that's really it's along that line. So yeah, don't be reluctant to share how you feel, worrying about how someone is going to take it. I've had someone say to me, well, I didn't know how you'd feel. I'm like, who cares how I feel? It's your life. You like it. I love it. That's where you have to be. Now, someone's going to say you are arrogant for feeling that way. Well, guess what? Again, I can't care about how you feel about me. I know I'm not being arrogant. I know that I honestly want you to be happy in your happiness. So don't worry about how I feel about what yeah, by the way, I do want that comes back. I don't care about how you feel about this that I do. You shouldn't care about how I feel about certain things that you do. That's really, but can we still come together from that? It depends. Depends on what it is. But create and reward empathy. It's see, we like to say, hey, I'm looking for my people. That's the same thing. That's the same thing. And so, right, just like Roger Carroll confirmed was a little boy, and then Daphne called it, yeah, the whole story was the boy who cried wolf. Thank you, Daphne, because I knew that I had to cry wolf, but but funny thing is, on my notes, I put in brackets the person who cried wolf because it doesn't have to be a boy. Ah, but when you lie, you choke out trust and you become the person who cried wolf. In other words, that's somebody who's continuing to say, hey, this is here, but they're lying. Now that farmer ended up no longer trusting his word. And then thank you, Daphne. It's a wonderful perspective. And whichever that goes to, y'all might have seen when she put that down. But as you review the tape, maybe listen to the message, it comes. There's a delay when people put stuff in the chat versus when it comes. But it's always about having a perspective. And so the perspective can be, yes, I care about you. I care about you, but I don't care that you don't like what I care about for me. That's coming up too. I tell you, that's what I'm saying. I love the synchronicity. Y'all get me so excited. But everybody, create and reward empathy. Take care of the people who take care of you by being honest with you and with them. And that's why I see care also can say create access and resources for everyone. So, in other words, do you really have an open door policy? Or are you overly judgmental with conditional access? Oh, okay. Good. I hit on that. Not caring how others think. Thank you, Daphne. Clarifying or adding to, because it's not that she was confusing when she said that was a wonderful perspective. Based on the delay and the timing, she's just confirming this is what it's about, not caring about what others think. Yeah, you can't just say it. You have to mean it. You ever heard that saying? I can't think of who it's a quote of, but it's your negative opinion of me is none of my business. There's nothing I can do with the fact that you don't like that I wear headphones when I'm speaking. You don't like how long my hair is. There's nothing I can do about that. So I don't care. I don't care what you don't like about me. I like me, and that's coming up as well. You have to really be concerned about liking yourself. You watch that. That's coming up in the message as well. I love y'all. Okay, but let's go back to this. Create access and resources for everyone. Do you really? And see, now we can show. I'm saying to you, this is not just about partner relationship in a business relationship, and you're the manager. Do you really have an open door policy, or are you overly judgmental with conditional access? In other words, do you really allow people to say what they have to say, or you just want to hear it? And that's why what Roger Carroll said, too many people are reluctant because once you tell them how you feel, they may use it against you. So they say, oh no, I got open door policy. You can say whatever's on your mind. And then when you say it, but I'm not going there with you. I got to tell you, I have an open door policy, but I'm at the same time, I'm that person that I do have some judgmental conditions that I might not be aware of until I'm in that position. And now that does what? That's where I have to now forgive myself and care about not care about what the other person thinks in terms of being judgmental and hating them, but recognizing they have that right. Come on, y'all, this grown-up stuff is hard. So really find ways to forgive yourself. That's not even in today's message, but it is. Care about what you are doing because it makes a difference. Okay, so really think about the friends that you have, and are you creating access and resources for everyone so that you can bring them in? And that's why I can move to my next CARE, which is channel, appreciate, refresh, and energize. When you care, that's what you do, because you care about who cares about you. So you channel your forgiveness and your appreciation for others and for what God has put through you. And that's the appreciation. So I'm channeling, thank you what Zelda said about, we need you to give us this message. Well, I'm channeling the message. And so I appreciate, believe me, I get excited when I get it right, because I don't always get it right. I always say, I don't have to be right. I have to be sporty. I have to make sure that I'm delivering what based on my beliefs. And like what Zelda gave us, that beautiful analogies of the home, where the grass is what I stand on. I stand on my beliefs. And so, therefore, when that happens, I have to appreciate that this is what God has sent me to deliver. I can't flake on you and say, oops, now let me say this so I can be on the good side. No, because what happens if I switch what I say to get on the good side, and then you go back and you learn something, say, oh, no, I really believe this. And now, oh, okay, I'm with you on that. You don't need that kind of a flaky friend. You don't. I always say, redefine your friendships as you redefine yourself. So channel and appreciate. I appreciate what God has put in me, and then I refresh and energize myself. Because once I accept the message that God is sending through me, I can refresh. Because remember, we talked about how emotions, anger can be a proper emotion. Yeah, I get out. I said, oh, let me channel. Let me appreciate what God has given me. That's coming in the message. Let me appreciate what God has given me. And now I can refresh and get back to not letting anger be the headline, and then re-energize myself and be the wonderful person that I know myself to be. In fact, when I created this one, I also used preach what you practice, because a lot of people say practice what you preach. I say preach what you practice. That's how you channel, appreciate, refresh, and energize. So the next one is C. You can't allow rewards to be erased. Once you know that you are blessed, once you figure this is my blessing, don't erase it. Don't erase it, and don't water it down, and don't minimize it. Make sure that when you bless someone and when someone blesses you, you continue to acknowledge that and accept it. And recognize that life is still a roller coaster. You're still going to have some spots where that blessing may not work in your favor on the surface, but don't erase it. Yeah, right now, this ain't working for me, but give me another hour. Give me another day. Give me another moment. Don't allow your rewards to be erased. And that could be where you're not caring about what someone else is saying about you. That's part of your keeping your blessings and your rewards where they need to be. Next, we got, you can't allow recklessness to be empowering. See, if you don't stand up, your stand down may be unnecessary surrender. You got that? If you don't stand up, your stand down may be unnecessary surrender. So there you're allowing recklessness to be empowering you. The fact that I don't stand on what I believe, I get to where I enjoy not saying that. So I say, vote or prepare your speech about why you have no right to say anything about the way things are. Okay, here's what I wrote. Vote or prepare your speech about why you have no right to say anything about the way things are. And when you vote, don't win the day without anger. What did I mean by that? And when you vote, don't win the day without. I don't know what I meant by that, so I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna stick with my moments of believing. Don't allow yourself to, when you do something reckless, it's, oh, that worked. Yeah, let me do it again. That's what I was saying. One thing that I'm saying about that, knowing what I stand for and I say, don't let that make you stand down and surrender. Since I don't want to stand up for what I believe in, I stand down, and that means I surrender. And it's unnecessary to surrender. Sometimes just stand for what you stand for, and you don't have to be right. The other person, hey, you could be you. I don't have to be right all the time. I have to be sporty, but that doesn't mean I surrender. Okay. And so that's why I think I said, vote or prepare your speech about why you have the right to say anything about the way things are. Now I knew why I was saying that. Yeah, I stand for what I stand for, and I'm prepared to say this is why. You may still not agree with me, but I do want to say this is why. And guess what? I'm willing to hear why you believe in what you believe in. And we still don't have to come to agreement. That one of the biggest cliches is agree to disagree, and that's one of the hardest things to do. Okay, so what Daphne said is, I do believe delivery of our truth shows empathy toward other people's feelings is important when possible. Okay, yeah, and what does that take us back to? Was that the empathy? Well, I don't think I need to be on the empathy one. I do believe that delivery of our truth shows empathy toward other people's feelings, and I do too, Daphne, because what that's saying certainly is, if I'm telling the truth, then I'm not slapping what you said. I'm letting you know that there's another way of looking at it, but I understand why you look at it the way you do. And so again, yeah, oh, look how timing was it. There's our agreeing to disagree. When possible, I'm happy to say, well, this is how I feel. And come on, who hasn't had a parent who didn't agree with what they were doing, but they still allowed them to do it? I don't think you should do that. Such and such. You think that person's your friend, but they're not. But you got to learn the hard way, as they say. So thank you for that, Daphne. Believe that the delivery of our truth, yeah, because it's your truth. It shows empathy. And a lot of times people need us to be honest so that they can say, oh, okay, well, now they kind of know where I'm coming from. And now I can see why they're saying that. Roger Carroll, when you do something reckless and you get away with it, just be grateful that God showed you grace and mercy, because that is what happened. You got away with it. Don't decide that, I can continue to do something reckless and I'm going to get away with it again. I just dodged the bullet on that one. That's really all it is. That's coming up later too, Roger Carroll. Thank you. And so, not to zip from Daphne's comment, but again, show empathy through your truth. And then Roger Carroll, don't try to get away with reckless stuff and think that this is just the way I need to keep going. Recognize that there's a reason God let you, quote unquote, get away with that. You didn't really get away with it. There's a reason God let that go. And so here's the next one is CHCARE, challenge authority to reclaim excellence. We are surrounded by and we are contributors of imperfection. We can also be surrounded by those who strive and contributors striving for excellence. So what I'm saying there is challenge authority to reclaim your excellence. See, we're surrounded by people who contribute to imperfection. None of us is perfect. So what we have to do is recognize that we also have, and sometimes we're that contributor in perfection. I think that I like that what you're saying, Roger Carroll. If you're doing something reckless, that's your imperfection. And so therefore, what you have to do is, if you give God thanks for showing you that grace, therefore you can reclaim that excellence and knock that out. I hope that'll work. But speak to power. I think that's it. Now you give me a new way to say, I want y'all to tell me what the affirmation means to you. Challenge authority to reclaim your excellence. Speak to your power. You got all kinds of people around you. Which way are you going to go? But striving for excellence, and you can reclaim it. On my Monday morning midday message, I always say it's on your path to excellence, because excellence is attainable and it's repeatable. So challenge your authority. Anybody who tries to keep you from getting back to being excellent, because you can have excellence and you have had excellence before, then reclaim it. Challenge authority. Challenge anybody who tells you can't be excellent. And as Roger Carroll was just updating, she said, not just speak to power, but speak truth to power. And I don't think that was a typo correction. I think they're both wonderful statements that we have to adhere to. Speak to power. Who you talk to. See, because there's somebody who's in charge. So are you speaking to the power, but are you speaking to God? Okay, how you want to make it look at it. But now when you speak the truth. Tell people, this is how I really feel. It's like say you can't fool God. So tell God the truth. And my mother used to say, tell me the truth and I hope you lie to others. Now that may not be a great use here, but that's tell me the truth and I'll help you tell the truth again. I'll also help you see why that truth is important to you and how it helps me help you. But if you lie to me, I can't help you. In the long run, I really can't. Okay, so next CARE is create adjustments. Oops, it didn't go. Create adjustments and recognize the essentials. I created this one based on entrepreneurship. Okay, because you have to merge your strengths. You have to create adjustments. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, well, guess what? as when I was working at the Wall Street Journal, I was good at editing. I was in classified advertising. I proofread classified ads. So I became really good at editing. So now when I became an entrepreneur, that changed how I looked at my writing of poetry. That made me more word conscious. And therefore now that's why part of what I built my speaking business around was my use of poetry, but also my inspirational messages and turning negatives into positive. And see, that was the adjustment that I made. I found out, hey, I'm good at proofreading. I'm good at editing. I'm good at changing this. So now how can I do that in what I may first draft, write something, and then I can go on and make that adjustment. And then I can recognize the essentials. That, you know what, I don't really need this. I don't need to say that. I don't need to say that. So that's kind of where I came up with that one. And what I add to that for entrepreneurs is that each of us has what I call a personal win. Oh, it didn't click. It was supposed to click. But anyway, a win is WIN, what I need. And somehow that didn't come up on this. But when you are becoming an entrepreneur and you're creating adjustments, because that's what an entrepreneur does, it gives a corporation or another way of looking at stuff. And then, what do I really need? Okay. Truth is superior to power. I like that. So that goes back to speak to power. There we go. I got to slow down. But I got I got a few more to go, and I don't want to use up too much of your time. But speak truth to power, and that's why Daphne said, "Yep," because truth is superior to power. Speak truth to power because truth is superior to power. I like that, Daphne. Yeah. So yeah, truth is superior to power because you may have power based on your position, but you might not have power based on the truth of who needs to be there, who needs to be in charge. So again, so we move that on to create adjustments, and that's what you should do. When you care about someone, make the adjustments. And then what do we really need? Recognize the essential. That's how you show that you care. Let me get back to making sure that I really show you the connection to why you should care. And if some of them I bypass, please go back and listen to the tape and then see how that word makes the connection to how much you care. All right. So the next one, because this is the big one, and that is that Christ assures and reassures everyone. 1 Peter 5:11 says, give all your worries and cares to God, for he cares about what happens to you. Christ assures and reassures everybody because it's going to go away and come back. Most people have said, well, what is God doing? And people have, and I got to tell you, I say most people because I'm one of those people who I've never been mad at God. I have never been. I've never said I'm mad at God. I've heard people say it, and again, it's justifiable, but it's just something that I've never actually said. But even those people, that was in the moment based on maybe a death or an accident or a broken heart, whatever, and then they came back. So then they say, oh, because wisdom being in retrospect, maybe years down the line, you find out why God took that person from you or why that thing happened to you. And then God doesn't say, oh, no, you said you mad at me. You ain't coming back. No, it reassures you to know that God is still in your life and that he was working for you even in that tough time. So just think about that. But this comes down to your faith, and care is really about faith because you believe, that like to say faith is the substance of things unseen. So when you care about someone, sometimes people don't see how much you care for them. So how can you show them? Well, you can show them by making sure that you have that for them. And now that goes to what Daphne said earlier about the empathy. I told you all this stuff all comes around, so there it is. I do believe that our truth shows empathy towards other people's feeling is important when possible. So yeah, if you show the truth, then therefore that's how you show people that you care about them. So what I want to close with is what I consider to be a good exercise to make a list of all the ways God cares for you and then try to model this same kind of care toward others. So, when we add up all the comments in the chat and all the different affirmations that I did with care, I want to say that this might be a good exercise for you to use, and is to make a list of all the ways that God cares for you, and then try to model the same kind of care towards others. So, one, this is how you can say, just say to yourself, it took me 68 years for me to get where I am today. That's what I'm saying. Now, I'm not giving you a hard thing to do on your list. Just ask yourself, how many years did it take you to get where you are today? That's a way of showing you that God cares for you. Okay, a good journal topic. What? How God cares for you, Daphne? That's a good journal topic. How God cares for you, or speak truth to power. Which one? Truth is superior to power. That is a good one too. Yeah, let us know which one you're talking about, so I can slow down because I just got these 5 things to put on the God cares list. How many years? It took me 68 years to get where I am. That shows that God cares for me. See, so it's not a hard thing to do. Okay, so that's one way of God showing me He cares. How about another one? I overcame quite a bit of adversity. You overcame quite a bit of adversity along the way. Do you remember? Do you remember some of the things that you overcame? It goes back to what Roger Carroll said. When you do something reckless and you get away with it, be grateful that God showed you grace and mercy. Yeah, what type of adversity did you overcome along the way? That was God's grace and mercy. That was the adversity. So remember that. And that is another way of showing you that God cares. How about you found out some things about yourself that you didn't even know? You remember what any of those things are? What are some things you found out? I'm not asking you to put this in the chat, but what are some things you found out about yourself that you didn't even know, but you find out in the moment? Why? Because God cares about you. And then what about you learned who was here to help you when you succeeded? Do you remember that? Once you found out those things about yourself, who helped you with those? See, sometimes we have to see how God cares about us by looking at who He has put in our lives. God cares when you learn who is there to help you succeed, because there's always someone there to try to help you fail. And they sometimes don't show up until you show the signs of failure. It's the people who doubted you in the beginning and the people who celebrate your non-success. See, I told you you wouldn't get there. All right. The list of how God cares. Oh, that's the journal. Okay. Thanks, Daphne. So yeah, see, this would be a good journal thing. A list of how God cares for me and how I care for others. So as you answer these things, thank you. See see our synchronicity? Yeah, that becomes something good for you to journal on. Maybe you can alternate the days that you show how God cares for you, and then maybe the next day how you care for others, or on the same day, how God cares for me, and then how I care for others. That's that journal's date entry. And then the next day, another way God cares for me and how I care for others. So it can become so even with this one, you can see it. This could be a nice weekly journal, because it's going to be 5 things. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. In fact, there's going to be 6 things. All right. On my list. Okay. And then I'm at the top of that. Oh, by the way, are you at the top of your list of what you learned, who you learned was there to help you succeed? Are you at the top of your list? Were you there helping yourself succeed, or did you give up on yourself? Guess what? The answer should be, oh no, I didn't give up on myself. Now give yourself credit. Remember, that was one of our C's about, let me see, it was about keeping the rewarding yourself. I don't know, remember which one of those, but give yourself credit. You should be at the top of your list of who was there to support you when things were going bad. You have to, because the truth is, if you're not supporting yourself, you actually can't be supported by someone else. Remember, one of the things I always say is you can't help someone who doesn't want your help. You can't help someone you can't help someone who doesn't want your help. There was another one. You can't help someone who doesn't want to be helped, right? And you can't help someone who doesn't want your help. So you've got to be at the top of the list of wanting yourself to succeed so that you can recognize the other people who want you to succeed. And now maybe you use their energy to push yourself forward. And the last thing on that list about how showing that God cares is take a bold stand when you believe in yourself. Oh, see there, boom. How did I support myself today? Yes. Ask yourself that. How did I support myself today? I'm at the top of the list. How did I support myself today? And now it goes back to what Daphne said before. How did I support myself today? And how did I support others? See, there's that journal entry you were talking about, Daphne. Thank you. How did I support myself today? And this is how I did it. I took a bold stand on what I believe and who I am. Okay. And then what Roger Carroll said, you can't want more for someone than they want for themselves. Yeah. You can't help somebody who doesn't want your help, and you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. So be at the top of your list so that you can have people come in and show that you want something for yourself, and now they'll be able to help you deliver it. And here's one of the reasons: take a bold stand when you believe in yourself. I do it every day as an entrepreneur because it's not always monetarily rewarding, but I believe in what I'm doing. And I know that sometimes it's not about me getting paid. It's about me delivering. I'm not trying to tell you to take a vow of poverty. In fact, I did a post today called "My Money's on Vacation." So check that poem out. So again, let's just look at that. Here's what that list looks like. Okay. How many years did it take you to get where you are? Give God that thanks. What did you overcome, and who helped you along the way? What did you find out about yourself? Who was there with you? Are you on the top of the list that you were there? Acknowledge that. And then keep taking a bold stand of who you are. Okay, look, God has always been there for you. Understand that and find new ways to embrace what he has done. And you do that by believing what? Not just in care, but that God cares. And that's why we have GLUY, GLUY. God's love undoes everything. We don't have to hump. We have to find ways to keep it together. God's love does that every single Wednesday on GLUE Wednesday, but it does it every day of your life. So keep finding ways to keep it together. Thank you for joining me and getting this broadcast together. And as you can see, it's a little bumpy because we're in the moment with my broadcasts. And I just want to show you some ways of why I think certain ways I do and things I do, but it's because of the power of you. It's because of the power in words. Your words make a difference to someone. Who? Start out by making sure they make a difference to you. So please track down what Zelda has in terms of her site, because she's some great insight. And then also check out your insight. See this little thing over Stronger Together? Let me see if I can move this out of the way so you can see it. Yeah, that's Stronger Together. Yeah. Now it was Hillary Clinton's campaign slogan, but it's just that it's the truth. It's the truth. And so as we find ways to have more things in common rather than we have against one another, we find more ways to be successful and positive. Thanks for joining GLUE Wednesday. I'll wait and see if anybody's going to put some comments for closing comments in the chat before I click off, because I always like to do that, especially give somebody else a chance to get the last word. Thank y'all so much. And thanks for the kind words and the uplifting of my spirit, because that is how it goes. We just take turns uplifting one another's spirits. Thanks a lot, Daphne and Roger Carroll. Y'all were the biggest contributors, and we'll have some contributors on the video as well. We will see that. Sure. Okay. Peace. 10, 9. Aha. There we go. Peace and blessings. I like that, Daphne. Peace and blessings. Two things that we need to keep in on our table. And as in the military calls it, having it in your toolbox, meaning that you have access to. That's what they have. They have a term called putting this in your toolbox, or they call it put it in your rucksack, which is you know, like you see them carrying a satchel, looks like a duffel bag. That's kind of like a rucksack. Okay. So what do you have in your toolbox? You have peace and blessings. Use them and share them. And again, I like that idea you had, Daphne, about making it a journal. So go on and make, how does God care for me? Make that one of your journals. And that could be fun. Okay. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Thanks again. God bless you. I certainly care about you, and I'm glad that you care about me. Peace.